let's see if this works. Boom. All right, we're back after a long wait. We're working off not the desktop. We're working off the laptop here, but we got a fun fight for you to get started, or at least Jackson does. Walk us through Mickey Gall versus Basil Hafez. Which of these fighters are you more interested in showing? I'm assuming Hafez here.
Yep. I have a video that I'm about to drop on this, 4-1 favorite in other markets, Basil Hafez, underdog here on PS. So just great inherent value there. Probably in terms of just like price wise, the best value on the card, I think. Basil's going up against Mickey Gall, who is coming back after 2 years away. He was cut from the UFC, also had surgery during that time. He fought his last fight. UFC didn't renew his contract. He is a really good grappler, solid submissions, a little bit sloppy. And in my opinion, he was kind of rushed into the UFC. His second pro fight ever was in the UFC. If you remember him from a few years ago, they brought him on to face CM Punk, who was like a big prospect, beat CM Punk. Then he beat Sage Northcutt, also a bigger UFC prospect than was Mickey Gall at the time. So he was stopping bigger fighters back then, but then he started fighting higher levels of competition, struggled that. But he is a good wrestler, good grappler. Will hang out for the striking if he needs to, but generally is a grappler. Basil most recently showed up on short notice and fought Jack Della Maddalena, looked really good there. Almost won that fight in a split decision. And he is probably a better striker than Mickey Gall, I would say. He's heavy-handed, does have some knockout highlights on his resume, but that's not really who he is. He is more of a grappler. I think the better of the two between him and Gall. I was really impressed with what I saw against JDM. He was outstruck there, but took him down 3 times, and he's a pretty good guy on the ground himself. So I think he'll be able to do the same against Gall, who's not really a threat on the feet. We don't really know where the evolution of Mickey Gall and his fighting stands after 2 years out of the ring, surgery and all that. And he does have that toughness, that raw power in wrestling, like skill-wise. I think he could totally get it done. But I'm just going to go with the better priced fighter who's a 4-1 favorite and who has looked a lot better recently.
Right on. All right. Well, it said I may have lost audio here, so hopefully that's not the case. But nice to hear about that one. All right. We're going to move on to the next fight here. Cesar Almeida versus Roman Kopylov. One of the biggest takeaways you would have here, it looks like Almeida is the much cheaper price between the two here, but not sure how that relates to consensus projections.
Yeah, price-wise, we are getting Caesar at a lot cheaper, and I think that probably makes sense just because Roman has so much more MMA experience. And this is a really, really good fight, though. Both of these guys did have pro kickboxing experience, both transitioned to MMA eventually. I'd say Caesar is probably the more renowned, better kickboxer. Roman's probably, at this point in his career, the better MMA fighter. Roman, he has a lot more experience. Caesar has more kickboxing experience. Roman picks his shots well before settling in, putting together nice combos, 4-3 in the UFC, and has only really been beaten by people who can take him down. He knocked out pretty much everyone else who wasn't able to get him to the ground. 87% takedown defense. I don't think he'll need it in this fight against a kickboxer like Cesar Almeida. Caesar, he's a really skilled kickboxer, fought Alex Pereira 3 times, beat him once. Really clean combos, big power, and definitely one of those guys that's just dangerous the entire fight, good cardio. Takedown defense is non-existent, especially in the middle of the cage. I mean, he has much better takedown defense on the cage, but in the middle, it's pretty much non-existent. Overall, dangerous striker, still working on that ground game, coming off win over Dylan Budka. Credential-wise, Caesar is probably the more awarded fighter, but this is mixed martial arts. Roman shoots takedowns. Not a ton, but they're there. Definitely will be there against a guy like Caesar, who doesn't have the most MMA experience. Roman took down Soriano before, who was a D3 All-American wrestler. So if this was straight-up kickboxing, I'd probably pick Caesar. But the adding in of the takedowns over time for Roman with his MMA experience will push me towards his side in this fight, I think.
All righty. Now on to the next one, we got Zaleski versus Randy Brown. What are the big takeaways that we should be looking here? Price seems to be favoring Randy Brown a little bit heavier than Zaleski here. Walk me through it.
Grant, what you think about this one?
What was the Randy Brown price?
463.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the same as the odds you're going to get on any consensus market here. We have Randy Brown as a solid favorite, not like crazy dominant, but a clear favorite for sure. He's coming off of 2 straight wins, one against Muslim Salikov. Previously only lost to JDM. It feels like there's kind of a lot of people who have lost to JDM as in one of their last few fights, as we discussed earlier. I do probably like Randy Brown. I don't really like that discrepancy on PS, though. I would probably stay away from this in terms of investment, but I like Randy Brown to take the win in this fight.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with you here. Randy, really good striker, 6'3" too, and used that range well from what I've seen. He's got those long jabs, good kicks, uses speed to initiate boxing exchange as well. I do think Zaleski is a gamer, and I think he is a little bit old, but he is such a tough guy. He's coming off that draw versus Renat. Fakhretdinov, where he had a 3rd-round rally after getting dropped super early. I think it was in the first, and then almost finished Renat, and which earned him a draw when he was like completely out of it. So he's an absolute gamer. So like I kind of like Grant's shout that it is risky to go with the odds we're getting for this. I think it's risky to go on the Randy Brown side of things because Zaleski is good, very solid striker, powerful and athletic, even though Randy is kind of more on the up and up in his career. So I'm going to lean Randy Brown as well. Probably won't be putting any schmeckles on it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Doesn't look like there's as much value as it might initially appear with Zaleski in the long term here. Moving on to the next, you have a chance to buy the dip in Jailton Almeida or ride the hype train in that of Romanov. If there really is one, seems to be massive value to be had here on Romanov. Walk me through on this fight and how it should go down.
The price discrepancy is really scary to me. I would definitely. I mean, I'm very confident in Almeida in this fight, but even then, it's kind of tough to ride with that big of a price difference. It's almost double. I do think Almeida is kind of a one-of-one guy in this division almost, with his ability to be super effective on the ground and also kind of stand with some effective strikers as well. He seems more like flexible than you normally see with a heavyweight. He's able to create different angles on the ground, and that leads to a lot of submissions, as it has in the past for him. Only one loss in the UFC coming last fight against Curtis Blades. He was knocked out. A decently quick turnaround here. It's will be a little under 2 months by the time this fight starts, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. I think he's super skilled, and I think he should pretty much cruise to a win here.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be too scared for Almeida after the Blades fight. Like he took Curtis down 9 times in 1 round in that fight. Only reason he lost really was because he froze. He had a leg, was working a takedown, got hit in the side of the head a bunch of times. He is going up against a good wrestler in Alexander Romanov. But I just don't think he's nearly as trustworthy as a guy like Jailton. Jailton's always in shape, like Alexander. He comes in, misses weight sometimes, lost to Marcin Tybura after he got tired in the first round, quit against Volkov pretty much after not getting any takedowns. Like I'll take the wrestler who gets as many takedowns as he wants when he wants, is always in shape, versus Romanov, who's only good when he's in shape, and you can't trust him to be in shape. So I think Romanov will eventually lose the fight and quit. Probably get a finish here in the late rounds.
Interesting. All right. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our next bout with a name that I'm not going to try to pronounce and one that I know how to pronounce, and that of Kevin Holland. So are we buying the dip here?
Alexejuk, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much as good as you're going to get.
Sounds good to me. All right. So there seems to be a pretty big price gap between the two. I don't know where consensus projections are, but we're about double the price on Holland here relative to Michael. Yeah, what do you guys see here? I want to ride the Kevin Holland train, but I do see value potentially in this Michael guy. Let me know from an actual understanding of how we should be targeting this fight.
Yeah, Kevin's a great dude. I think on PS, I would probably be putting my money on Michal just because of the price discrepancy there. And I mean, Kevin Holland, you never know. I mean, he's been pretty high volume and he's looked in the last two fights. I mean, even against JDM, he was very much in that fight. And then against Michael Page, I think that fight was a little closer than a unanimous decision in Page's favor. But definitely a guy that can kind of lose a little bit of focus during fights. He does seem to kind of be the line in this division, though. Like if you can beat Kevin Holland, you're capable of climbing up the rankings and being a deserved ranked fighter in the division. You see his last losses are to Hamzat, Stephen Thompson, GDM, and then Michael Page. So, I mean, no real poor fighters that he's lost to. If I was just picking straight up, I would pick him to win. But I think in terms of an investment opportunity, there's probably a little value in the other side.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Like after looking at these PS prices, the price is not right for Kevin Holland. If you want, like, it's probably not the right market if you want to invest in Kevin Holland. I think you're getting better odds in the books, but there is a lot of value, I think, for this Mikel guy. I personally have Holland winning the fight, but like Wells or not Wells, like Grant said, he's kind of hard to trust in a lot of situations. You don't really know what kind of game plan he's going to go towards. Like, I mean, there is a tremendous skill gap on the ground. I will say Kevin is the much better grappler, but his offensive takedowns and wrestling are terrible. So he's going to have to like sneak in or trip or something to get it to the ground. So I think if it does get to the ground, like he's good there for sure. And I think he should be able to stay on the outside and sort of just piece up Mikel the whole time. Like Mikel isn't that big of a guy. I think, and the step up to weight, which Kevin's doing in this fight, like doesn't worry me that much because of that. I think it's honestly like a good move for Kevin to step up. Definitely some questions about Kevin's toughness after the Wonder Boy fight. But I'm going to lean Mikel for prediction strike investors here. But got to ride with my guy Kevin just generally.
Love it. Love it. Now on to a slightly bigger event between Deshaun Strickland and Paulo the Juice Costa. It's not even close to their nicknames, but let me know how you see this one going down, guys. 1050 for Paulo Costa. Seems to be a little bit of value potentially on Strickland here. How should we be going about our portfolios?
Grant, you want to take it away?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a tweet from Paulo Costa to share here that I think kind of sums up this fight a little bit. Can you see it on the shared screen, Wells?
Let's see. On the shared screen, I can pull it up here.
There you go. Yeah, so just a real meeting of the minds here in the ring. This is a Paulo Costa tweet. Openly on PEDs and the UFC does nothing. Just a great guy. This is a fight that needed to happen for a while. I think it'll just
won't say the N-word, but is racist.
Yeah, versus openly says the N-word on Twitter. Just a real meeting of the minds in the ring here. I'm excited to see what this battle of CTE ridden individuals brings us. Sean Strickland, definitely the more skilled guy, I would say. Is Paulo Costa moving? This would be. Oh no, this is his old division. Hopefully he makes weight in this division. Obviously, I mean, we haven't seen him make weight in this division in what feels like years. I was honestly intrigued about him moving up and fighting someone in the division above, but I mean, in this division, he kind of just feels like when he makes weight, he's a little bit zapped of his kind of power and strength. And Strickland is a guy that can prove and has proven that he is skilled and can just kind of find his way to a decision win at the very least. So I could definitely trust Sean Strickland a little more.
Yeah, I think I agree with you here. Like Sean, obviously not the most exciting fighter in the world, but he can pretty much beat anyone when he's on, like we've seen. He's kind of an emotional shit show. Like he's just like but then it's like I feel like he's sort of the polar opposite in Paulo Costa, and Paulo's like always having fun on social media. Sean Strickland's always kind of like a bummer on social media, but I love Paulo Costa like a lot more than I do to Sean. I do think this sort of scenario favors Sean. Like he has absolutely insane cardio. I'll give him credit for that. Like 5 rounds is going to benefit Sean over Paulo's barely making weight,
For sure.
bulky ass. And like I will say, Paulo does have some cardio, but it's like Sean literally he looks like a better fighter every round after the last round. Like it's crazy. If Paulo were to like notice that Sean maybe struggles with struggles a lot with his ground game, I think if Paulo tries to shoot, he's the much better grappler, BJJ practitioner. Like I think that would be a really good game plan for him. Maybe we'll get like something juiced somewhere for Paulo by sub, but I think Sean Strickland is the way safer investment. I think it's good value for him on PS. Like Sean has a ton of output. He's got that Philly shell, those 1-2s. He's just going to be doing the same thing the entire fight. We know what game plan we're going to expect from him. Nice takedown defense at 77%, even if Paulo does decide to shoot those. Yeah, I got him. I got the more busy volume guy. We saw what Max Holloway did in a 5-rounder on the last big card. I think we're getting a kind of similar situation at a different weight class, obviously, but
yeah.
I like it. So we'll see exactly how that one goes. Now we have another massive price differential between Islam, who has the Eagle landing in the corner again this weekend, and then we can finally see if the diamond in the rough can figure this out. What is going on here? Is Dustin Poirier going to just disappoint his fans once again? Is Islam going to continue his dominance? Is Khabib going to fly into the cage and just fight Dana? I don't know. Let me know what you guys see happening here and what should happen.
Oh Jesus.
Big price.
That's a hefty price.
That's the only reason
I'm staying away from this one. I think I'm just kind of watching this as a spectator.
Yeah.
It's tough on PS to find value here, and it's even tougher on any consensus site when you have Islam is basically a 7-1 favorite, the biggest favorite on this whole card. Pretty cool storyline of Islam having fought on 3 Dustin headlined cards when he was kind of making his way up through the ranks, and now he's a massive favorite against Dustin. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much at the top of his game. It is a little weird. We haven't really seen him defend his title a single time against a real member of this division. We've seen him fight Volk twice after he beat Oliveira for that belt. So, I mean, I guess there's kind of something to be seen yet. He hasn't fought Dustin before, and he hasn't really fought some of these elite guys in this division. He hasn't fought like Gaethje or a Chandler or anyone like that. So, I mean, in theory, that there's a weakness to exploit there, but I think Islam is about as good as you'll find throughout the company, and I do not see him losing this one. Although I was impressed with Dustin's ability in that BSD fight. I think if he can find a way to keep this off the ground, he can still stand and bang. And I mean, he's never out of a fight like that. He's a gritty dude who's going to fight through some pain. So you never really know, but definitely an impressive win last time out. I just don't think he finds that luck again here.
We both said BSD in the last Poirier fight, or did you say Poirier?
I don't. I was kind of switching back and forth on that one. I'm not sure. I think on here we probably were both on the BSD side. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely remember being on the BSD side of things. So yeah, I think that's a great shout. Like, and Dustin said that no matter the result of the fight this weekend, he's going to most likely retire, which is never really something you like to hear. But I do think with a guy like Dustin Poirier, who's just like so tough, such a UFC legend, like I think it'll be different. His camp will probably be full swing, and I'm not as worried about that as some of like the Reddit, Twitter circles are, I would say.
Yeah, I think especially with a guy like Dustin, if anything, that I would be more confident in him going out and just throwing, even if he's like down big at the end. Like he's going to go out fighting. He's not going to be like, I'm retiring. I don't want to go through a recovery.
It's not going to.
I think he's
gonna, and it's like I'd say 9 times out of 10 that's valid to be like, oh, like he said he's going to retire. He doesn't care. But
yeah,
I don't think that's the case with Dustin. You know, he took down Charles Oliveira. They could have just hung out there. He wanted to make something happen, got that sub in the fight against Volk. Oh wait, hold up. Yeah, no, Dustin said he's retiring, but he's definitely going to go all out. A lot of people are saying bad things. He's cemented his legacy, though. He'll probably be the better striker of the two, but Islam improves pretty much every fight. And Islam is definitely not just like a wet blanket sort of guy on the ground either. Like he's super explosive and will be shooting the entire fight. Always looking to advance and finish. I personally think, kind of like Grant here, he rolls through Dustin Poirier in this fight. Like he might even be better in the striking department here. Like he's not the better striker, but like he's the type of striker where he could be better in any given fight. He's got that power too when he's standing up. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's time for Dustin to go. Islam is probably, like Grant said, top 5 in the company or so, top whatever. Like he's a really, really strong fighter. This is a passing of the guard moment.
Yeah, even in that BSD fight, like I think most people would say he got dominated in round 1 and then hit something in round 2 and was able to capitalize on that. But it was kind of a lightning in a bottle moment. And I mean, he's going to need something like that in order to beat Islam. I think he will definitely need a finish. He's not going to outpoint Islam just based on Islam's ability to kind of hold top control and just kind of stall out a lot of rounds if he is in some sketchy positions. So if those arise, Dustin's going to need to pounce on those and kind of put an end to things quickly.
And we've definitely seen some good BJJ from Dustin. Like he is a black belt, but it's just I feel like it's not the same level.
The time.
There's been plenty of examples of him kind of going out getting choked, but he did choke out Chandler as well. So
yeah,
you never know. If the Khabib fight shows anything, it's kind of what we were saying, where he'd land a shot and then Khabib would just get on top and then ended up finishing that one, I think, in round 3. So if you read too much into that, I feel like this is a worse version of Poirier and a guy who's as close to a Khabib-like figure that we've seen. So
yeah, dude, when I first saw these two prices, I was like, wow, that's insane. Like how legendary Dustin is, and we still have Islam at
$13 less. Yeah.
It's not even a contest realistically. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for the kind of just UFC part of this. So you just can see our beautiful faces now, or at least Jackson and Grant's. But with that said, if you guys had to pick any of these fights to be just completely contrary to what you're expecting, which one from each of you would you choose?
I think that's a good question.
Contrary to my thinking?
Yeah, so obviously you guys have your thoughts of like, okay, I'm confident in these fights, but if you're like, you know what, if I'm going to be wrong on a fight, this is what I'll be wrong on.
I think Kevin Holland could come out and beat the fuck out of him. And it could just not even be close. And the kind of value hunting that we're doing a little bit is kind of all for nothing. But yeah, that would probably be the one.
Yeah, for me, I'm not going to say that one just because I was like kind of 50s on that to begin with, just with the PS prices. I am slightly leaning Holland in that one, but I do think Paulo Costa could just come out and beat the brakes off the shot, or not beat the brakes off him, but catch him really quickly, you know? Like he's a much more dynamic striker on the feet. He's got those spinning attacks and stuff that Sean doesn't have. And it's like, he's going to come out firing. So that could definitely happen. I like Sean more and more as it like more deeper the rounds go in the fight for sure.
Interesting. All right. Well, I heard the thoughts of what you need to know on how to manage your portfolio from people who actually know what they're talking about. That's why I stay out of these because I don't watch enough UFC like they do. With that said, appreciate you guys. Hopefully, you got some smart investment decisions to make here. We like to try to outline those for you guys, or at least Jackson and Grant do. We'll keep on cooking to try to help you guys out more and more. And you guys will see a fun little surprise from us soon enough in terms of the kitchen that we're working in. But with that said, just keep that in mind. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Download the Prediction Strike app. Say hi to Grant and Jackson in the comments and tell them, I don't know, what color is the hat of the random hat that Grant has in the background? Type that in the comment section if you got this far. But if not, well, you're not a true one. Until next time, peace, y'all. Much love.